Sundar Pichai was walking down a busy street in the city. It was a regular day for him, like many others before. People recognized him as the CEO of a big technology company. He was known for being calm, polite, and very smart. He usually kept to himself and did not like too much attention. On this particular day, he had a few meetings planned. He wore his usual simple clothes, a shirt and pants, and carried a small bag with him. The city was noisy, with cars honking and people talking everywhere. But Sundar moved with purpose. He was focused on his day. Suddenly, two police officers stopped him. They looked serious but polite. Sundar was surprised but stayed calm. The officers asked him some questions about where he was going and what he was doing. Sundar answered politely. People nearby began to notice what was happening. They whispered among themselves, "Why was the CEO being stopped by the police?" Some looked confused, others curious. A few people took out their phones to record what was happening. In a city full of cameras and social media, news like this could spread very fast. One of the officers told Sundar that they needed to do a routine check. Sundar nodded. He understood that sometimes the police had to do their job, even if it felt uncomfortable. He gave them permission to check his bag. The officers carefully looked inside. Sundar watched quietly, hoping everything would be fine. People around watched too. Some felt sorry for Sundar. They thought it was strange that someone like him was being stopped in this way. The police officers talked quietly among themselves. Sundar could see they looked a little confused. One of the officers picked up something from the bag and looked at it carefully. The item was small but caught their attention. Sundar felt a bit nervous, but he did not say anything. That the police were just doing their work. The officers explained that they found something unusual and needed to ask more questions. News started to spread fast. Some people nearby started to guess what was going on. Some thought it might be a mistake. Others wondered if Sundar had done something wrong. But no one really knew. Sundar stayed calm and respectful. He knew that sometimes things could look different from the outside. It was important to stay strong and honest. A small crowd gathered. People wanted to see what would happen next. Some were supporters of Sundar, others just curious bystanders. Someone shouted, "He's a good man. Let him go." But the police said they had to follow their rules. They asked Sundar for his identification and other details. Sundar gave them everything they asked for. He wanted to help clear up the situation quickly. As the officers finished their initial check, they asked Sundar to come with them to the police station. Sundar agreed. He knew this was serious, but he hoped it would be over soon. The people watching felt a mix of emotions. Some were worried for Sundar. Others were angry about how the police treated him. A few whispered that maybe this was a case of misunderstanding. The police car arrived and Sundar got inside quietly. He looked out the window and saw the crowd watching him leave. He felt a little sad that such a public moment was happening to him. He had never imagined something like this would happen. He thought about his family and friends and hoped they would understand. He also thought about how the world could sometimes be unfair, even to those who work hard and try to do good. On the way to the police station, Sundar kept his thoughts calm. He reminded himself to be patient, trusted the truth would come out. The police officers were professional but serious. Sundar noticed they treated him with respect, even if the situation was difficult. He thought about how this experience might change things for him and his company at the police station. Sundar was taken to a room where the officers asked more questions. They wanted to know more about the unusual item found in his bag. Sundar explained clearly and honestly. He told them why he had the item and what it meant to him. The officers listened carefully, but still looked unsure. Sundar tried to stay positive, knowing that soon everything would be clear. Outside the police station, reporters had gathered. They wanted to hear the story, but the police did not share details. People waiting for news checked their phones and social media. The story about Sundar being detained was already spreading fast. Some posts were true, others were rumors. The public began to form opinions without knowing all the facts. Meanwhile, Sundar's team at work heard about the incident. They were shocked and worried. They tried to contact him but knew he was busy with the police. They prepared statements for the media, saying Sundar was cooperating and that they hoped the truth would come out soon. The company's reputation was important, but so was fairness and justice. As the hours passed, Sundar thought about the power of rumors and how easily people could judge someone without knowing the whole story. He remembered that being in the public eye was not always easy. Sometimes private moments could become public without warning. He hoped this would be a chance to remind everyone about kindness and understanding. The police continued their work. Checking the facts carefully, Sundar remained patient and calm. He believed in the law and in people's good hearts. The city around him kept moving, but for Sundar, time seemed to slow down. He waited for the moment when he could explain everything clearly and show who he really was. By the end of the day, many people were still talking about the incident. Some were angry, others were confused. But one thing was clear: no one expected something like this to happen to Sundar Pichai. The story was just beginning, and soon more details would come to light that would surprise everyone. After Sundar arrived at the police station, the officers began to carefully search through his belongings. They opened his bag again and looked inside every pocket and compartment. They wanted to be sure they understood everything about the unusual item they had found. Sundar watched quietly as they worked. He felt nervous, but kept calm. He knew that staying patient was important. The officers picked up the strange object and examined it closely. It was small and did not look dangerous, but it was not something the police expected to find. They called over a senior officer too. "Take a look." The senior officer was surprised. Had never seen anything like this before in a case like this. The officers whispered to each other, their faces serious but full of curiosity. Meanwhile, the news about Sundar's detention had spread all over the city and beyond. Many people were confused. Sundar was a respected figure, a man who had built a successful company and helped many people with technology. Why would he be carrying something unusual? People began to guess. Some thought it might be a mistake. Others imagined something worse. The media caught wind of the story, and reporters started calling the police station, trying to get information. Inside the police station, Sundar answered all the questions calmly and clearly. He explained what the object was, why he had it, and how it related to his personal and professional life. The officers listened carefully but still looked unsure. They wanted to know more. Sundar felt like he was in the middle of a storm, but he trusted that the truth would come out. As the hours passed, the officers decided to take the unusual object to experts outside the station. They needed someone who understood this kind of thing better than they did. Sundar agreed to wait while the experts examined the item. He hoped their report would clear up the confusion quickly. The experts arrived and carefully studied the object. They tested it, checked it from every angle, and compared it to similar things they had seen before. After some time, they gave their report to the police. The findings were surprising. The object was not harmful or illegal at all. In fact, it was something rare and valuable, but harmless. This shocked the officers. They had no idea what to do next. The police then spoke with Sundar again. They told him what the experts had found and apologized for the confusion. Sundar was relieved but still cautious. He knew this was not the end of the story. The news media and the public were already talking, and many people were watching closely. Outside the police station, reporters crowded around. They wanted to hear more, but were told only limited information. The police said they were still investigating and would share details soon. Social media was full of messages and videos about Sundar's detention. Some people supported him strongly. They said the police should treat everyone fairly no matter who they were. Others were skeptical and asked questions about the unusual object. Sundar's family and friends were also following the news closely. They felt worried but believed in Sundar's honesty and good character. They reached out to the police through lawyers and asked for a quick resolution. Meanwhile, Sundar's company issued a statement saying they were aware of the situation and trusted the authorities to handle it properly. As the investigation continued, the story took another unexpected turn. Some people started sharing personal stories about Sundar. They talked about how he was generous, humble, and focused on helping others. These stories made many people feel differently about the incident. They saw Sundar not just as a powerful CEO, but as a real person with a good heart. The police worked hard to complete their investigation. They reviewed all the facts carefully. The unusual object was nothing to worry about, but the way the incident happened raised important questions. Why was Sundar stopped in the first place? Were the police following the right procedures? These questions made people think about fairness and respect for everyone, especially public figures. During this time, Sundar stayed strong. He used his experience to remind others about patience and understanding. He spoke quietly to his close friends and family about the lessons he was learning. Sundar believed that challenges like this could teach people how to be kinder and more fair to each other. Finally, after many hours of waiting, the police officers told Sundar he was free to go. They apologized for the trouble and thanked him for cooperating. Sundar smiled and thanked them too. He was glad the truth was clear now, but he also knew that the story was far from over. Many people still had questions, and the media would keep reporting. As Sundar left the police station, the crowd outside watched quietly. Some clapped softly in support. Others whispered, realizing how easy it was to jump to conclusions. Sundar waved politely and walked away. His calm and kind manner touched many hearts. The incident quickly became a lesson for the public. It showed how important it was to wait for facts before judging. It also reminded people that even famous and respected individuals could face difficult moments. The story inspired discussions about trust, justice, and respect in society. Sundar went back to his normal life, but he carried the experience with him. He spoke openly about it in interviews and meetings, hoping to help others understand the value of patience and kindness. The unusual object, once a cause of confusion, became a symbol of a greater message, that truth and fairness must always come first. After Sundar was released from the police station, the news about his detention spread quickly across the world. Media outlets, social media platforms, and everyday people began talking about the incident. Everyone wanted to know what really happened, and many had strong opinions about it. Some people believed Sundar was innocent and trusted him completely. Others were confused or suspicious because they had only heard parts of the story. The situation became a major topic of discussion everywhere. Television news channels showed clips of the police stopping Sundar and taking him to the station. Reporters tried to explain the strange object found in his bag, but since the police had not shared full details, much of the information was unclear. This left room for rumors and guesses to grow. Some stories in the media were based on facts, but others added extra details that were not true. The public found it hard to separate truth from false information. Many people on social media shared their thoughts using hashtags and posts. Some praised Sundar for his calm behavior during the incident. They said it showed he was a good leader who could handle difficult situations with grace. Others criticized the police, saying they should have treated Sundar with more respect and should not have caused such a public scene. These posts received thousands of likes, comments, and shares. The story quickly became one of the most talked about news stories of the day. At the same time, many journalists tried to learn more about Sundar's personal and professional life. They reached out to his friends, family, and colleagues. Interviews were published that showed different sides of Sundar. Some people described him as a humble man who worked hard to build a better world through technology. Others spoke about how he stayed private and avoided the spotlight as much as possible. These stories helped the public see Sundar as a real person, not just a famous CEO. Sundar's team at his company worked fast to manage the situation. They posted messages on the company's website and social media pages, asking people to wait for the full facts before making judgments. They thanked the police for doing their job and said Sundar was cooperating fully. They also shared positive stories about Sundar's work and his contributions to society. The company wanted to remind everyone that Sundar was a person who cared deeply about helping others. Some experts on law and public relations also joined the conversation. They explained how important it was for the police to follow proper procedures, especially when dealing with well-known people. They pointed out that public figures could face extra challenges because of their fame. The experts said both the police and the public should be careful to avoid jumping to conclusions without clear evidence. Their words helped some people see the bigger picture. Despite the media attention, Sundar kept a low profile. He focused on his work and stayed close to his family and friends. In private conversations, he talked about how the experience had been difficult, but also eye-opening. He said it made him think about the power of kindness and the need for fairness in society. Sundar wanted to use this moment to teach others about patience and understanding. Meanwhile, some people began sharing their own experiences with unfair treatment by police or misunderstandings in public. These stories connected with the public in a new way. Many people said they felt empathy for Sundar because they had also faced moments when they were judged too quickly or treated unfairly. This created a sense of shared experience and reminded people that everyone deserves respect, no matter who they are. The incident also raised questions about privacy and how public figures are treated in society. Some experts spoke about the challenges famous people face when their private lives become public. They warned that quick news stories and social media posts could sometimes harm innocent people before the truth was known. These discussions helped people think more carefully about how they reacted to news and rumors in schools and communities. Teachers and leaders used the story as an example of why it is important to be kind and patient with others. They encouraged people to listen and learn before making judgments. The story of Sundar's detention became a lesson not just about one person, but about the values that hold a society together. Sundar also received many messages of support from people all over the world. Some sent letters, others posted on social media, and many made videos praising his strength and honesty. These messages gave Sundar hope and reminded him that even in hard times, kindness and trust could still exist as days passed. The media began to focus less on rumors and more on facts. They shared the results of the police investigation, which showed that Sundar had done nothing wrong. The unusual object was explained fully, and it became clear that it was harmless. Many people felt relieved and happy to hear the truth. This part of the story showed how important it was for everyone to have patience and wait for full information before reacting. It also showed how a person's true character could shine through even in difficult moments. Sundar's calm and honest response helped many people see the value of staying respectful and kind, no matter what. The public's interest slowly shifted from the drama to the deeper meaning of the event. People talked about trust, fairness, and the dangers of spreading rumors. The story became a symbol of the need for careful thinking and understanding in a world full of fast news and social media. Sundar's experience was shared in many articles, books, and talks. It inspired people to be more thoughtful and compassionate. The story reminded everyone that behind every headline is a real person with feelings and a life that deserves respect. Even though the incident was hard for Sundar, he used it to grow stronger. He spoke openly about how challenges could teach important lessons. Sundar showed that true leadership is not just about success, but also about how one handles difficult times with honesty and kindness. The story of Sundar's detention and the shocking discovery inside his belongings was no longer just about an unusual event. It became a message of hope and understanding. It brought people together to think about how they treat others and how they respond to the unknown. This part of the story ended with a hopeful feeling. Sundar was free, the truth was out, and many people were learning important lessons. The world was reminded that every person, famous or not, deserves fairness, respect, and the chance to be heard. As the investigation moved forward, the truth about the unusual item found with Sundar became clearer. The police, with help from experts, explained that the object was not harmful or illegal. Instead, it was something quite personal and meaningful to Sundar. Many people were surprised by this news. The item, which had caused so much confusion and suspicion, was actually connected to a private part of Sundar's life that few people knew about. Sundar had been carrying the item for a very important reason. It was related to a cause close to his heart, helping people in need. The object was a small device designed to assist people with disabilities. Nar had been working quietly on supporting this cause for years, and the device was part of that effort. He carried it to meetings and events where he talked about improving lives through technology. The police and the public had not realized this at first, which led to misunderstandings. When the news came out, many people felt embarrassed for judging too quickly. They had thought the object was something bad or dangerous. Instead, it was a symbol of kindness and care. This made the story even more powerful. It showed how easy it was to jump to conclusions without knowing the whole truth. Sundar took this moment to speak openly about the cause he supported. He shared stories about people who had benefited from the device and how small acts of kindness could change lives. His honesty and openness touched many hearts. People admired how he turned a difficult situation into a chance to spread a positive message. The police also apologized for the confusion and thanked Sundar for his patience and cooperation. They said they had learned from the experience and would be more careful in the future. The officers who had detained Sundar spoke about how the event changed their view. They realized that even routine checks could become sensitive when they involved important and private matters. The public's reaction was mixed at first, but soon many people joined together to support Sundar and his cause. Social media was filled with messages of encouragement. People shared their own stories of kindness and how technology helped them or someone they loved. The incident became a spark for a larger conversation about empathy, understanding, and the power of helping others. Sundar's company also embraced this new focus. They started campaigns to raise awareness about disabilities and the role of technology in improving lives. Sundar's experience gave them a strong reason to continue this work with even more passion. The company's employees felt proud to be part of a mission that was about more than just business. In the days that followed, Sundar met with leaders of disability organizations and experts in healthcare technology. They discussed ways to make the device more accessible to people who needed it. Sundar was determined to use his influence and resources to make a real difference. What had started as a confusing and difficult day became a turning point for positive change. The media began to tell this new side of the story. Reporters wrote about Sundar's dedication and the real meaning behind the object. Interviews with people helped the public understand why the situation had been misunderstood at first. The story moved from being about suspicion to being about hope and progress. For Sundar, this experience was a reminder of the importance of patience and communication. He knew that many people had acted with good intentions, but had not had all the information. He wanted to help others learn from this by encouraging open dialogue and respect for privacy. The incident also sparked discussions about how public figures manage their private lives. Sundar talked about the challenges of balancing work, public attention, and personal causes. He shared how he tried to keep some parts of his life private while still making a difference. This honesty helped many people understand the pressures that come with being a leader. As time passed, Sundar continued to focus on his work and his cause. The unusual object, once a source of confusion, became a symbol of his commitment to helping. Others, he used it as a reminder that sometimes things are not what they seem. And understanding takes time. Many people who had judged Sundar quickly apologized publicly. They said they had learned an important lesson about fairness and kindness. This created a wave of goodwill that spread beyond the story itself. It reminded everyone that patience and empathy were important values in a fast-moving world. Soon, their story also inspired young people and students. Schools invited him to speak about technology, leadership, and the power of kindness. He encouraged them to be curious, to ask questions, and to seek the truth before making judgments. His message was simple. Everyone deserves respect, and sometimes the best way to help is to listen and learn. The police department took steps to improve how they handled similar situations in the future. They organized training sessions to teach officers about sensitivity, privacy, and the importance of clear communication. They wanted to make sure that no one else would face the same confusion Sundar did. The community around Sundar grew stronger too. People from different backgrounds came together to support causes that mattered. The incident had shown that even Moments of misunderstanding could lead to unity and hope in the end. The story of Sundar's detention and the discovery of the unusual object became more than just news. It became a lesson about how people can come together to overcome fear and suspicion. It showed the power of honesty, patience, kindness. Sundar felt grateful for the support he received and the chance to turn a difficult moment into something positive. He knew that challenges would come again, but he was ready to face them with courage and an open heart. This part of the story closed with a hopeful message. It reminded everyone that sometimes, when things seem shocking or strange, the real story is waiting to be told. When it is told with honesty and care, it can inspire the world to be better. After the truth about the unusual item was revealed, life slowly began to return to normal for Sundar. The police had cleared him of any wrongdoing, and many people around the world had come to see the situation in a new light. Sundar's calm and patient way of handling everything had earned him respect from many corners of society. But even with the police apology and public support, Sundar knew that this experience had left a mark on him and others. In the days following the incident, Sundar took time to reflect deeply. He thought about how quickly people had judged him before knowing the full story. He understood that in today's world, news spreads fast, and people often make decisions without having all the facts. Sundar realized that this was not just his problem, but something that affected everyone. People needed to learn how to be patient and understanding, especially in a time when rumors could spread instantly. Sundar decided to use his experience to teach others. He gave interviews where he talked honestly about what happened and what he had learned. He spoke not just as a CEO or a famous person, but as someone who had faced a difficult challenge. Sundar shared how important it was to listen carefully, ask questions, and not jump to conclusions. He encouraged people to be kind and respectful, even when they did not fully understand a situation. The public listened. Many people felt inspired by Sundar's words. They began to think about how they reacted to news and stories on social media. Some said they would try to be more careful about spreading information without checking if it was true. The story became a powerful example of why fairness and kindness mattered in everyday life. Sundar's company also made changes inspired by this event. They started programs to promote kindness and respect among their employees and customers. They worked on projects that helped people with disabilities, continuing the work Sundar cared about deeply. The unusual item that had caused confusion became a symbol of the company's mission to improve lives and bring people together. Sundar himself felt a new sense of purpose. The incident reminded him that leadership was not only about business success, but also about setting a good example for others. He wanted to show that even when things go wrong, it was possible to stay honest, patient, and hopeful. Sundar continued to work hard, but he also made time to talk with people, learn from them, and share his own experiences in his personal life. Sundar grew closer to his family and friends. They had supported him through the difficult time, and their care meant a lot to him. Sundar understood more than ever the importance of having people who believe in you when challenges come. He made sure to express his gratitude often and to be there for others in return. The media slowly shifted its attention to other news. But the lessons from Sundar's story stayed with many people. Teachers used the story in classrooms to explain the value of patience and understanding. Community leaders talked about it in meetings to encourage respect among neighbors. The event became a part of many conversations about how society could be better. Even people who had been quick to judge Sundar publicly apologized. They shared their own stories of mistakes and misunderstandings, creating a sense of forgiveness and growth. This wave of goodwill made the whole experience feel like a step forward for everyone involved. Sundar knew that life would continue to bring challenges, but he felt ready for them. He believed that with honesty, kindness, and patience, people could face almost anything. His story was proof that even difficult moments could become chances to teach and learn important lessons. In the end, the incident that had shocked so many became a story of hope and unity. It reminded people that behind every headline is a person with feelings and a story. It showed how quickly things can change when people choose to understand rather than judge. Sundar's life moved forward with new meaning. He continued to work on projects that helped people and inspired others to be better. The unusual object, once a cause of confusion, now stood for something powerful, a symbol of care, patience, and the strength to face challenges with grace. Many years later, people still remembered the story. It was told as a reminder that fairness and kindness are always worth striving for. Sundar's experience became an example of how one person's calm and honest response could make a difference. In the world, this story ended with a message of hope. It showed that even when things seem difficult or confusing, truth and understanding can bring light. Sundar's journey taught many people that respect, patience, and kindness are the most important things we can share with each other.